So I have the first fill of the Billy Idol song. There's definitely more than two. That I'll have to learn it properly. I went through and rewrote the notation, and I added in the fingering for it. I call it from piano. I don't know what it is. So here it is. So it's hi-hat and bass at the same time, but you got to switch hands on the hi-hat. That's the tricky part. So hi-hat and bass. So it goes hi-hat and bass. So the fill goes da-dun, dun, da-dun. Here. I'm doing it only at 75%, but here's what it is. Let's get past it. Okay. Ba-bum, bum, ba-bum. That's the big thing. There's stuff in between. The ba-bum, bum, bum, bum is this. It's a snare. And then hi-hat, snare, bass. Bum, bum. And then it goes tom 2 and bass. And then snare, tom 3, bass. So, ba-bum, bum, ba-bum. So it goes boom, 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 boom. So I'm going to have to take my left hand to the hi-hat on the fourth hi-hat there is. So it goes like, so again, here's that music. I don't know if you can see it. Right? So it's pretty tricky. In fact, just drilling it up to now, I think I was doing it wrong. I was adding a hi-hat, like, but it's actually no big deal. So if I do hi-hat, bass, it's complicated. I mean, it really is. So I had to write this out. Wait. Like that. Tricky. Definitely can't do it full tempo yet, but I'm going at my half rate. I can't hear it really. These are noise canceling headphones hanging. So if I was doing this, what I was doing was just playing with the song, doing that fill over and over. You know, it doesn't matter if I can hear it, right? Because you guys can. That's a whole different fill. So this is turns out the songs I like are pretty complicated, but and then slowing down, and I'm lifting my hi-hat every eighth beat, every eighth note, dun, 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 dun. And right before the fill, I don't lift the hi-hat. So that takes up a whole measure. And I go right back to my standard drumming. it's hi-hat and bass. Tricky. So that's how it'll go when you're playing a song. So I'm not gonna be brazen enough yet because I just learned it. But if you're playing a song, the main thing is really easy. It starts with a crash cymbal. Here it comes. Open hi-hat. Oh, who else talking? That's the thing, I gotta slow it down. So, that's it. And I gotta start the next circuit. If I think about it, I'm done. I just have to go slow, but that's the first fill. So again, it's a hi-hat bass with my right hand. I'll tell you when I switch over to left. Hi-hat bass, snare, hi-hat bass and snare, hi-hat. Tom 2 with my right hand, right? That's natural. Tom 2 and bass, right? So hi-hat, snare, together, Tom 2 and bass. And then, no, I do a hi-hat, sorry. Tom, hi-hat, bass, snare, together, hi-hat, Tom 2, bass, together, hi-hat with left hand. That's when I switch over. And then snare, Tom 3, and bass, and then hi-hat and Tom 3. So after I switch over to my left hand on the hi-hat, it stays there. Yeah. Open, open, open. Yeah, so that's it. That now I'm going to go back and and also on the last video I kept saying quarters of a measure, and I really didn't mean that. I guess maybe I am accurate. I think it was how I was reading it. Still getting used to drum terminology. So anyhow, that's that. Okay, I'll put up part 2. Shouldn't be too much more difficult. I think, in fact, it's simpler, but that's tricky.